And welcome to the select board meeting. We're going to start the meeting off at 6 o'clock to go into executive session, and then the regular meeting will start at 6:30 after that. Can I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
Move to go into executive session pursuant to MRSA 1405 D6.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Evening and welcome to the select board. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
Okay. For the people that are just getting here, we were in executive session on a contract issue. So can I have a motion, please?
Move to accept the public safety union contract.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, great. All right. So we are going to go ahead and start the second part of our meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes to March 19th, 2019's meeting. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. We are going to go into a public hearing. Scott is here in the back. He just showed up. Regarding ordinance changes proposed by the planning board for the town warrant. Scott?
Code enforcement of the town of Raymond. We have some ordinance changes. Some of the ones that we deal with, some of them are just typos that were picked out throughout the year, mostly with our appeals procedure. And then the shoreland zoning provisions, most of those dealt with the DEP. I guess you want to say temporarily accepted our ordinances until we brought them up, some of the issues that were missing that they found through there, because we have to send it to them every year to get it okay. There was an instance where we had a few things that were missing, a couple definitions for excavator and stuff like that. That was something that we had to put in. One of the things that they wanted to make sure that was okayed for the June meeting. The other things that we have in here are dealing with our moratorium on type 1 modular manufactured homes in the shoreland zoning. There is some definitions, mostly dealing with, we didn't have any identification as a type 1, type 2 in our shoreland provisions. So in order for us to have, we needed those in there in order for us to determine what was allowed and what wasn't allowed. We had to also play around with the definition of a dwelling unit, because in the state one it mentioned that mobile homes were a single family unit, so that was something that had to be taken out. There was a sunset provision skipping out of order here for our subdivisions that was not in our land use in the right place, so we did move it over to there. Let's see. So yeah, most of them, like I said, the definitions in the for the manufactured housing were the biggest ones that were in there. We changed around a couple things, just to kind of simplify it for us for enforcing the ordinance. So as far as that, I mean, and most of the stuff was relatively small except for those definitions that need to be added with the manufactured housing.
Okay. Why don't you come have a seat over here then, and then what we'll do is we'll open up the meeting to a public hearing here.
Okay.
Just did it.
Oh.
We can
Right.
move into couple. Just one question. In the ordinance that's there, I'm assuming if a section is not printed, it's because nothing changed.
Correct.
For example, you're referencing section 15T, but 15T doesn't exist in there. It doesn't exist on this copy here.
Okay.
So does T exist and just never, there was no change in T, or?
Have to bring myself up to whereabouts are we at?
This is on Article 3. It's under Section 12. You're making reference to Section 15. Used to be 15 Section S. It's now saying 15, section T. But there is no section T in this document here.
Yeah, I think it was, if I remember rightly, this was conformance relocation. Yeah, I mean, I think the letters were off on that one. I don't have the current shoreline zone provisions in front of me to give you a good answer on that one, other than if I remember right, it just was not, that lettering wasn't correct. As far as reference, it referenced to S and it should have referenced to T.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, S was something else, or
Right.
yeah, and T was just where it actually needed to be referenced to.
Okay, so it's just corrected the pointer, but the pointer actually exists in the ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
He kind of does that with the next one too, with section, he writes off Q and he puts an R on it, so I think he's just kind of lining them all up.
Yeah. One of them did get pushed back to a different letter than what it was because of an addition. We felt it was placed better before than after.
Okay. All right, so public, open for you. On the ordinance changes, does anybody have any questions, comments on any of the ordinance changes? So am I considered public or selectmen to ask a question? I have a question. I'm just gonna ask it.
You can ask the question.
All right, you can ask a question. Okay, so,
Well, do you want to close public hearing first?
no, I'm still asking questions.
Okay.
Just in case somebody gets a question off this. On the manufactured housing, I'm reading how it can be, it's on page 17. I'm reading that in order for it to be, you're describing what it is and where it's built as far as at the facility and transported and everything like that. Can we, by law, put something else in there? Because the manufacturer is the one that transported it to the place, sets it up, makes sure everything is safe and secure. But for any building that's being sold and being removed again, we don't go in and inspect that. So is there somewhere where we can get something written into that to cover that?
So you're saying like an existing house, somebody was to move an existing house to somewhere else, or?
Yes, like a modular house from one place. The manufacturer took it, went there, boom, person got tired of it, someone else bought it, they moved it to point B, and then what happens is point B, we don't inspect that setup. So my concern is how safe is that?
Actually, if that was to happen, I would require the connections and everything in there to be engineered or looked at by an engineer, because now you're taking it and it was okay for that installation, but not okay for another one.
Exactly. Do we put something in it, or is that something code-wise that would be in our codes that we would update?
Well, my code brain, I would think it would be automatic, that I would ask for something.
Okay.
It was okay for there, now we're moving it to completely something else, so now I would want.
To
And
re-inspect.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, I could ask for even, I would ask for what I could see in a manufactured housing from the Manufacturing Housing Board. But again, it would be the connections that would be my concern, as long as the plumbing would still be intact, as long as they didn't mess around with it on the inside. Because they'd still have to disconnect it in the basement, which is in my jurisdiction down there. I just can't see anything up above, but I'd want an engineer making sure that all the connections were made properly.
Okay.
Because it's a totally,
You're going over bumps on these nice little roads that we have out here,
yes.
and they're going around curves. And that's just,
The road.
no, I'm sorry, I had to throw that one out there. But you're jolting it around is what it is. So, second, third hand that it's being set up. So I didn't know if it was something that we would write into our own codes, or you just do it.
Well, theoretically, that could happen to a new one. Mm-hmm. And I can't
But
see it.
but the manufacturer's there to set that up.
They have people who put it together, but they would, basically they'd go in and, like, if they got a big crack in the wall, they'd tell them, hey, we got this going on. But if they thought that there was any kind of structural damage, they are under responsibility to get that maker of the company to come down and take a look at it. Most of the people that come down here, all they do is just install it. They don't necessarily
Make
would
sure, okay.
inspect it. And, yeah, they just do it to how they're supposed to do it.
Okay.
For connections, and that's it.
If a unit is moved from point A to point B, it's a used unit, point A to point B, do you go in and issue a CO?
That would be a question that I would ask if whether or not I have authority. If a manufactured house is moved, if it's taken down and put back together again.
I'm talking about number ones.
Number ones, as far as if they're moved and set somewhere else, if they didn't do any work on the inside, I still have no jurisdiction.
So you don't, even though it's been moved and seated, you don't go in and check and
I mean, I do a
issue
courtesy, I can do what I call a courtesy walkthrough, where I walk through and I'm no one, I will test the smoke alarms and see if anything's leaking in the shift, but it's merely a courtesy, it's not anything that's required.
What would happen if you found a flagrant violation there?
If I saw that, my first call would probably be to the manufactured housing board saying, hey, I've got an issue down here. They would probably send somebody down here to come take a look at it.
So
Okay.
there is a backstop.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, back to the public. If they have any questions on any of the ordinances or comments or, nope, seeing none, then I'm gonna close public comment. All right. So any more board comments at all?
No.
All right, so,
Well, you still have to move the articles.
well, that's one, getting to the next thing. All right, so now we're gonna go back to the beginning of the articles here. Not the land use. 3, 2, starts at 2, right? Do you wanna do all of them together, or do you wanna have to do them individually? All right, go ahead, need some motion on Article 2.
Move Article 2 as written.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Can I have a motion on Article 3?
Move Article 3 as written.
Second?
All in favor? Okay, let's move Article 4.
Move Article 4 as written.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 5.
Move Article 5 as written.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 6.
Second?
Move Article 6 as written.
Now you're up, Sam.
Now go for it.
I just
It's been seconded.
automatically second everything.
All right, all in favor? All right. And that's it? All right, great. See, you're cute. All right, now, you're done. Here you go. Thank you.
You want to stay?
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah, thanks.
Dawn.
You supported him, Nate, right?
Right,
Talk
right,
before
that's
road
what I
and
was
they-
thinking, there was some kind of
The
support,
fisherman's
but I
net,
guess
and
not.
that way talk before road.
Don't move them onto Sure. Bruce is, I think Bruce is still there.
Yeah, Bruce,
Stay there.
are you doing fisherman's net?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna have you jump
They're
up. Are
very,
you-
very quick.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump things around a little bit so I can get Bruce out of here in case we get any calls on these nice roads. I'm gonna boot Nathan out of here too. I was surprised to see you, to be honest. I wasn't expecting you to come, just because the roads.
Dedicated.
All right, renewal of Fisherman's Catch liquor license.
So basically, the note that Sue left me is that Bill Coppersmith is working with the fire alarm company to correct an outstanding issue and replacing a fire extinguisher. And she asked that this be approved, signed, and direct the clerk or town manager not to release this until the fire inspection is complete. So Bruce, are we that close?
We're that close, yes. Fire alarm system's being worked on. They were in contact with Wayne yesterday, so they're working out the details there. The fire extinguisher has been ordered, and the other small items are being corrected currently, so they are working towards that goal.
When does this permit expire?
It doesn't
May,
expire
correct.
until May.
Okay.
Yes, we have some time.
What,
but-
I think what they're asking to do is us to go ahead and
That's fine.
make a motion based on,
Contingent approval based on a successful fire inspection, yeah.
yes.
I'd like to make a motion to renew Fisherman's Catch liquor license and have the fire department make sure that everything's in line.
Can I second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Sign this. Thanks, Bruce. You guys taking my line. It's where you're sitting. All right, good time. All right. I'm gonna, while you guys are signing that, I'm gonna move on. Gore Road.
Sounds
Oh.
great.
Okay, we're gonna jump back to discussion of private section of Gore Road and consideration of a town meeting warrant article. I thank all you guys for coming out tonight with the way the roads are. Mother Nature really threw some more on us here. I
Just trying to keep Nathan busy.
busy.
Right, I got enough to do.
I guess what I want to make sure tonight is just lay a little groundwork. I guess is we all realize Gore Road is bad. We get that, and you guys don't have to come up and stand and I'd rather you not as far as tell us how bad the road is. This has been going on for a long time. We do know that it is a private road. You know, there's a history behind that. I get that, but what we're here tonight for is moving forward and getting a remedy to fix it is what we're here for. Is what it is. I do want to acknowledge a couple people that are here tonight. Just their support and waiting for answers too on this too. Is Dave Getchell here? I don't see him. Oh, back in the corner. Okay. So from Little Sebago Lodges is Dave Getchell and Jennifer White. They're the chair and the vice chair, or the president and vice president of that group. I believe Deer Acres, there was supposed to be somebody here possibly from Deer Acres. No? Okay. I had heard Shannon Young. She's still here. Sharon, sorry, Sharon. I'm like trying to remember everything. Sharon Young, she is actually lives in Little Sebago. She is on the Greytown Council. She is not here as a council member though. She's here as Little Sebago to do that. I know a lot of homeowners here from Raymond too, but there's a lot of people are working together, and it's like the doors have finally all opened up, that we're all talking to each other. And a huge thank you to Nathan and Dawn and Steve LaValle and Deb Cabana for coming up with some possible innovative ways. To me, this whole thing is like holding a balloon with holes in it, and we're just trying to get all the parties moving forward consistent to get this thing to work out. So at that, I am going to give this to Dawn so he can give a scenario of what's going on. I think some people in here though don't have the full stories, to be honest, and I think tonight we will get that full story. So Don, it's yours.
Well, thank you all for coming, of course. As you indicated, this has been a long-standing issue. I think it has more than a 50-year history. It was the very first issue that I was confronted with when I came here 19 years ago. And since that time, the town managers, several of Gray, myself, Steve, Nathan, we get multiple complaints. We've tried to come up with an innovative solution unsuccessfully over all those years. There had been attempts prior to my coming. And so, Nathan, I would give Nathan the credit. He came up with the notion of, somehow maybe we could do some kind of an exchange, or quid pro quo, if you will, with the town of Gray. And so we sat down with the Gray town manager, with the public works director of Gray, and as we began to talk more and more, we came up with, I guess, the issues that were of greatest importance to each side. And one, I should tell you, for the town of Raymond, is the fact that this is a private roadway. It's not a public roadway. We've got over 200 miles, I guess approximately 250 miles of roadway that is private roadway. So we've got to be very careful about how we proceed, if we proceed down this road, so to speak, of accepting and adopting a private roadway. So that's always been the dilemma, and we do understand the uniqueness of the road connecting two towns, the expanse of users and the number of houses and so forth that are down in Gray in particular. So anyway, we came up with an outline over a few meetings, and so the first thing was, I guess the first tenet was Raymond has to find a way to do this in a revenue neutral way, because we can't be putting monies directly from the public charge. It's against the law, in fact, into a private roadway. So that as a governing, I guess, tenet, we began to talk about the more practical things, like, for instance, what's it going to cost? And so, Nathan took a look at this quarter-mile section. It's only about, 1,200 feet, something like that.
It's 1,240 some feet, I think it is.
1,240 some feet. And, he came up with an estimate of about $108,000, but that's a very, I think, conservative estimate. So it's a little bit more than what we originally talked about, but that would be, perhaps we could look at it as maybe a worst case. And then we'd have surveying and deed work on top of it. Raymond is interested in some public works equipment that's owned by the town of Gray, and so the town of Gray, we had proposed to buy it from the town of Gray, and then they could donate back that revenue to us. But we found out that they can't do that under council authority, but they can give us the equipment. So they would agree to give us a 2010 Volvo dump truck, wheeler dump truck, and some heavy-duty truck lifts, which have a combined agreed-upon value of $67,500. So that money, which we had agreed to pay the town of Gray, with proper town meeting approval and authority, we could put towards this project, if that was something the Board of Selectmen wanted to proceed with. The towns together, Raymond and Gray together, would work on the project. It would be led by Raymond, but the Raymond Public Works Department would do whatever they could to save money in getting the construction project up, going, and completed. Gray would assist with that as they could, so we'd have a collaboration there. The residents and road associations of Gray that access their properties via Gore Road would contribute approximately $25,000 towards the road work. Raymond's property owners along the Gore Road would contribute $500 each, plus a contribution to pay for the deed work and survey work and legal work. So we're asking $750 from the property owners that would be accessing that section or abutting that section from Raymond. Now we're into the quid pro quo, the exchange deal, and that would be, because Gray, and this is where it pays in the long term for the town of Gray, as I understand it, they have a contract that they have to issue on a periodic basis to plow their public section now of Gore Road and what they call the Lions Point Road, which is our Brown Road. So I don't remember now what the order of magnitude on that is. Maybe
Brown Road.
9,000?
Yeah, I think it was around $9,000.
So $9,000 a year. So what we would do, we would agree, the town of Raymond, to, in perpetuity, forever and ever, to plow those two sections of road that would be in the town. So we pick up our public section now. The formerly private section would become a public section of Raymond. We'd pick that up, plus we'd pick up the public section of the Gore Road, which is 0.7 miles. The public section of the Lions Point Road, or what we would call the Brown Road, is 1.3 miles. So about 2 miles altogether would be assumed in perpetuity by the town of Raymond from a plowing and maintenance standpoint. So it would be
Just plowing.
Oh,
Just plowing.
I'm sorry, plowing, just plowing for the Gray, maintenance for the new section of Raymond roadway.
Correct. We'll pick up the town
Right.
section of
Thank you,
Gore Road,
Nathan.
it became town road, but the Gray side, we would be plowing the two Gray roads. In exchange, they're gonna pick up the same mileage off the North Raymond Road.
Right, I'm getting to that. So the next thing is the town of Gray will plow the North Raymond Road from the Gray Town line to the Pond Road in Raymond. So that's about 1.4 miles. That's also, in perpetuity. So that's the outline. And basically, Teresa told me not to talk about numbers, but I threw out his estimate right off the top. But we have a corresponding amount when you look at add up all the numbers that we have from the road association, from the homeowners, from the quid pro quo on the truck. We're pretty much balanced out at, what's the number you want to use?
I thought you said, because you weren't sure if you're gonna be here tonight, around 90.
6,000 is what you.
96,000, okay, you can live with that number?
Yeah.
We can change the scope of work a little bit, we can find that savings, I think, without a problem.
So 96,000, so we're pretty much in balance. So I guess that's the rough outline?
Yes. So what we've also been now piggybacking off of you, what we've been doing is we've been talking to the attorneys as to what we need to do. They're thinking possibly next year. We want to get this done this year. So we're gonna be knocking on doors or whatever we have to do. You know what I mean, to get you guys to do this. And there's a couple steps that need to be taken, you know, and our attorney outlined them. You know, one of them is pretty much, I know Bob has come and gotten everybody's signature, but we are going to need a petition that says for the town to take over that road. So we will need everybody's signatures again. We will have that drawn up legally. The other thing too is we need deed descriptions as to what the center of the road is to your property. And I think, Nathan, you said like it's possibly 25 feet off the center of the road.
Typically, we have 3 rod roads, which is 48.5 feet. And that would give us enough room. But so that would be, what is that, 24 feet off the center line.
Okay, so that way with the deeds would come back and say that we would have you guys sign those also. One of the things that the attorney had said is that the money needed to be collected now and to be put into escrow. But Ralph came up with a pretty good idea, is that we could do promissory notes and have the family sign the promissory notes. That way where it's not a chunk of money that you guys have to come up with right now. But they would have to be signed, and if not, if they don't get paid, then the town would put a lien on the house. But the good thing is you can do payment arrangements to work back with the town, is what it is. So what we're trying to do is keep this thing moving, and there's timelines, because we have to, in order to have this on the town vote, you know, even if we push through and say yes after all the questions or whatever tonight, the town still has to vote on this, the town meeting. We also have to make sure that we have all the other parties. Little Sebago Lodges will be sending out letters to their people down there too, that they're going to be taking an assessment vote, I believe, on May 16th. So that's another part of this. There's so many parties to all of this. But right now, I gotta say, all the doors are open on this. It really is. It's a long time coming. It's a big issue. And we've got Gray on board, we've got Little Sebago, we've got Deer Acres, we've got the citizens, we've got Raymond citizens. I'm gonna take questions now from you guys and see what you think. Marshall.
The 48 feet, I understand that. The 24 feet that's being deeded off, that's being quitclaim deed to the town and not a right-of-way.
It's a right-of-way, I believe. Most of my roads sit on a right-of-way. We don't own any of the right-of-ways in town, so I'm assuming that's
And we
what
would not own this
We will
road.
not own it. We'll have an obligation and a right-of-way across it.
Okay.
Right-of-way.
The other question I have is on the promissory notes. These would be signed by the actual homeowners, but would they flow to the property?
Yes.
Okay. So if a homeowner signs it and then moves 2 days from now, the promissory note would stay with the
Yes.
property? Okay. Thank you.
Sam, Lonnie?
Nope,
No.
good.
And they wouldn't have to go the promissory note route if they,
Well, I
No.
understand that, but if they did, then we would want it flowing to the property and not to this person that signed
Right.
the note.
Well, just another clarification too, because we've been doing a lot of phone calls, a lot of trying to make sure this thing's pushing through. There's a couple options as far as the fees on that. We're checking with our town attorney as far as doing the deed work on it to see what price they would come up with, and they would charge, you know, each homeowner that. We know we want to be able to come to the town meeting tonight to be able to give you guys an idea as to what the cost might be. So we had called somebody that does do real estate, and that's where we're coming up with the 250 to 300. And it's, you know, that number is not in stone. So we're still working on those numbers is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't see it being more than 300, but I don't want to say, I don't know, they're not in stone.
well, I think it was Ralph who had received some indication that it would be in that order of magnitude. I don't have a quotation yet from the town attorney that we can rely on. I did ask and receive the legal work from the town of Gray on the section of Gore Road that they acquired. And so he took a look at that, passed it on to the real estate department, and he thought that if it carried through in similar fashion, which we guess it does, that it would be much easier to do than what he had originally envisioned. But they haven't put a dollar figure on much easier yet.
Well, and this person that Rolf knows too said, you know, if it's 1 or 2, then it's probably going to be like 300. But if everybody just took their deeds there, he can give you guys a discount, is what it is. You know what I mean? So the more on that. Right now, since do you have a question? I was going to say I was going to open it up to anybody in the public that has. So
I have one.
Oh, yeah.
other question. There is, the landowners on Gore Road have a right-of-way. Is there a deed to that right-of-way somewhere? Do you, any of you owners have a deed to that?
If we went,
Clear deed, my land.
we went way back. We're talking way back.
So I have a deed to my,
Right, but Kayla had even gone into like the old vault or whatever, and it was literally like these little pieces of paper on the road that has been changed names so many times.
okay.
You know, that type of thing. So trying to find that is not. So I guess my thing is moving forward from here and
Start
not
fresh.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
There was one other thing.
That's where I think the pricing in the survey work's gonna vary between lot to lot.
Yeah.
Is because how old is their survey, how inclusive is their survey, and how in detail it is, rather, is gonna change the pricing on it. There was some that had some pretty good deeds there, and there was some that were
But
terrible.
I'm surprised it's, I'm
Well, I
surprised
guess
it's
the
nothing in
question,
the
how
mortgage
good
deed.
is the survey on Gore Road itself? 'Cause if
Our
we're-
side?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
it's
we're
never-
talking the deeded right of way is gonna be from center line back. then-
They're gonna recreate that center line. They're
Right.
gonna,
So you now have a known center line, and you're dealing with a 48-foot set, you know, a 48-foot right of way from
Correct.
center line.
correct.
And you have that in gray as well.
All right, I have a question. I'm looking at the paperwork we have here, and it says Gore Road owners and map. And where exactly does Gore Road, the private section, start? As soon as you go around the curve, or in a little ways?
From history, and I can only go by the history from previous public works directors, what we have on DOT mapping is right after Dollymont, there's a theme where we stop paving. It's about, it's 20 feet past Dollymont, maybe, yeah, thereabouts.
Okay, so if you're talking 20 feet past that, is there an Eleanor Doyle here?
I'm Paul, her son.
Okay, so no, and I'm looking at our map, so you are considered part of that section then?
We are,
Okay, all right. So what about, I guess living across the street from you would be Timothy Kilvert.
right beside me.
Okay, hi guys. So to me, I'm coming up with 14 owners instead of 9 or 10. So, but now the other question is, what about the people, and again, we're still pulling this thing together. The people who live on Paw Print Pass, and there's a couple houses, people behind, like 20, well, it's like 20A. Oh, that's Dollymont. Maybe it's not. Yeah.
I think the original assessment of 11 properties was just what was on Gore.
So Eleanor Doyle's house is on the corner of Dollymont and right at that V. Okay. All right. So, well, there's a house. There's 18A, which is Catherine Jones. So is that considered then part of this section that would be part of the? Because I'm 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right, well,
5, 6.
They rely on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they would be part of it.
So
You told me anybody that abuts Gore
Gore
Road,
Road, right.
Well, we probably,
and
that
the
would-
right of way abuts Gore Road.
yeah. We've
Well-
kind of, as this has gone along, we've sort of evolved somewhat. I mean, so that's probably I'm sure that's the original instruction we gave you. But in fairness, it's got to be, I think, anybody who, not only abutters, but back lots as well.
because it's all in that private section, so
Well, the back lots would have a easement on that. I mean, Wendy's property is down at the end of Paw Print Pass, so her property doesn't come up to Gore Road. So we wouldn't be affecting her at all for the
Okay.
easement
And-
or the survey.
So the
and
only one
Keith
would
and
be-
Cynthia
The only ones you're gonna be
Minton?
affecting are the ones that
Okay,
are
that would be,
right on the road.
so that would be Wendy's behind, and then Theirs, the Mittens would be before it, so they're off of paw print, they're not off of,
Pauper, I don't know what the there's two houses on Pauper Pass, so maybe that first one has property on, does their right of way come up?
I believe that,
This is a really original question,
what's his
Catherine.
name?
No,
No, Howard's
wait.
owns that,
Everything.
okay.
Well,
I guess
And I
legally they
have
wouldn't
a
have
right of way to my
interest,
property.
so should they?
so, okay, so I'm gonna ask an open the worms kind of question, I guess.
Good question.
So if we have,
What's the story on this?
wait a second, Donna, I need you to hear this one. If we are asking Little Sebagos and Deer Acres and all the people on the gray side and the Raymond homeowners, because everybody's accessing that, then technically we should be getting everybody in this section also to donate.
But that's different than the abutters and the survey and the deeds.
Okay,
If you're gonna ask everybody that uses that has access to that road from Raymond, that's a different question than.
I
That's why I said I'm
agree, and
opening
we,
up.
and so, but there should be some
Here's my
contribution,
I
I
would
think.
think so, yes.
But you
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
have the
still not-
deed piece because you don't have the abutting property.
Yes.
And you don't have the right and interest in the road.
Right.
So does that sound right to folks?
it would be this one and this one, but not
That
here.
fair?
Yeah, the Catherine's. Well, that's why I didn't know, and I'm thinking they're, yeah. I don't know what the answer to that is too, because if everybody else is using that road.
I have a question for
Who said that?
you. I did.
Oh, sorry. Can you go to the podium and introduce yourself, please? That way the camera can pick you up. They're all over.
We have no secretary tonight, so be sure to speak right up.
Yes.
Okay,
She's
one
gonna
of the
take it up
questions
tape.
I had, was you referring to this property as really unique?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that?
Go
It's
ahead.
basically you have a public road that is, I guess, sandwiched between
Two towns.
two public roads in two separate towns that are sandwiched between a private road. That's unique.
And the only way to get to,
Most of our private roads, well, all of our private roads, with the exception of this one, start at a town road and dead end on a private way. Sloan's Cove Road goes all the way down to the lake, and there's no other public way down there. Gore Road goes from a public road to that private section, back to another public road in another town. That's where we came up with unique.
Brown Road
And-
did the same thing.
Brown Road
Yeah.
did the same thing.
Because it was private, it was Raymond, private, and then Gray.
The other question I kind of wondered is, how is it Gray could take care of their end and Raymond's having a trouble? I understand the private road thing, but what I don't understand is how we actually became a private road, how we became an owner of that, so to speak. When years ago, they were granted that right away, the people down at the association were granted that right away, and they had agreed to maintain that roadway.
From talking to different people and from trying to do some research and stuff like that, trying to get the deeds to be carried forward and find out who's doing what. I think my concern now is there is so much mixed back history. There really is. There is a lot.
I can believe that.
There is, and a lot of, everybody has their different versions of it. I think what I'd really like to do, and I know you probably want to answer that, and I don't have an answer, I'd like to move forward. So how can we fix this? And you know what I mean? And if everybody's willing to come to the table now, can we move forward with that? Because I don't have that answer to you.
Okay.
Yes, and I apologize for that if someone else does have that answer.
The only thing we have is Kayla pulled a bunch of samples from the gray side down to Deer
Right.
Acres and down to that end of town, and nothing was consistent at all.
Nothing was
Nothing.
consistent, and each deed was, and then what happens is the deeds weren't carried over,
Right.
like some of the language as to maintaining it. So Kayla put in some research, and that works at the town office, and, it starts with this, the $5 per house that does it, and then that wasn't, carried over maybe the next deed, but then it wasn't carried forward. And this was years and years ago, so, yes.
I will tell you this, only because I'm dealing with my mother. It's still her property.
Right.
She struggles with the idea of giving the right-of-way. She thinks that is enough to see this through. The idea of paying for the deed to be adjusted, or to her, the $500 is just ridiculous. But I'm beginning to look on how bad the road is, and there does need to be worked on. I still have a problem with the money for the taxes to change the deeds. Or for the fees to change the
The
deeds.
fees to
Go
change
ahead.
it, but it, go ahead, Lon.
But I would say that any time you live on a private road, and I've lived on a private road, you normally either have a road association or you have some sort of an assessment. And so in your mother's case, I don't know, what sort of contribution she and the other property owners made, but you would expect to have to pay an amount of money every single year to maintain the road. And if they haven't been doing that for 20 or 30 years, which is what it looks like, then there's your $500 and then some.
And you gotta stop and think how much that road is going to cost, 96,000, and for asking each family to give 500 there, but also have you guys pay for the attorney's fees on your own property that you're changing the deed on, which comes up to 750, 800. To me, in the scope of how much everything's gonna be,
So we're talking about an additional $250 or $300.
it would be the $500 we're asking from every family and whatever the attorney's costs would be. That's why we said if we could do a promissory note, you wouldn't have to come up with it. It would be something that you could do a payment plan back to the town. Who is that? Sorry. And so that way where it's not so whack all of a sudden, but other people are saying too, nope, fine, we'll pay it if that's, get this road fixed. And we have people on the Gray side that just over the line saying, you know what, we'll pay our share. We'll pay our share to have that road fixed because we go over it. And Gray does not have to, and they are. Everybody's coming to the table on this, which I think is, again, a good way tonight to come together and figure it out.
The other issue, and I don't want to pretend to know who has what in this particular scenario, but there is the issue, because another unique point is the tremendous amount of development that's occurred down in Gray beyond that private section of road. So depending on who has liability, and I mean, you would presume that probably the butters are principal among those people who might have liability. That's not a liability I'd want to have. I'd want to see this resolved and become a public road and be done with it.
It's my understanding there's another possible subdivision going in down there too.
That's what I understand.
So you've got winter now, you've got summer people coming back, if for visits or whatever, and then you have another subdivision that's possibly going in, that's gonna be traveling back and forth on that road. So
But you already said this isn't gonna be fixed this year.
no, yeah.
Well, if everything goes together and we can all get the paperwork done and get it to town meeting, yes, I'm holding two projects. One's that one and one's another project. And if this one goes, we're just gonna jump on that and do the project in town next year. So all I'm waiting on is these people to say go after town meeting.
And what I meant by that is we have to have the papers in by a certain deadline, because things have to be ready to go to the town meeting by a certain deadline.
Do you have any idea what that deadline might be?
Yeah, April 23rd.
April 23rd?
For a June meeting, because what happens is at that meeting, we are going to approve the warrants, and this would be a warrant article on the town meeting. And what we would like to do is be able to get, the citizens to petition the town, which have that paperwork done up, have everybody get the deed work done, get that done, and get moving on it, if that's what everybody wants to do.
Okay, I'm satisfied.
Wow.
What did you say? I didn't say I completely agreed with it all, but I'm satisfied.
Could we have your name for the tape, please?
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna put you right on the hook.
What is it?
Bernie Hood.
Thank you,
No,
sir.
no.
What?
My name is Paul Doyle.
Paul Doyle, okay. What happens is it will get picked up, and our
Sorry.
town clerk that does the tape went home sick today, so she's gonna listen off the video and do up all the minutes for this, is what it is, yes.
One thing I'd like to mention is that, as a previous banker, if I were in the market to resell a property down there, I think I would want the deed as clean as possible. And some of these, you would have difficulty in getting title insurance or even a mortgage on the way it's written.
I'd also, along that line, if I were trying to sell the property, I'd also want a nice public road in front of it.
Right.
I thought you wanted to say something.
No.
Right, go, yeah, to the microphone, please.
So James Anderson.
No, speak in the microphone.
James Anderson.
Hi, James.
If we're gonna make exceptions for the people that live on the backside about not paying the deed price, this gentleman doesn't even drive on Gore Road.
Nope.
I was just gonna mention.
That was-
He just owns property on it.
yeah, his
So maybe
drive-
we
his
should make an
driveway-
exception for that.
His driveway accesses off Dollymont.
You know what? I quit. I'm done.
That's all I had to say.
Well,
Don't sit down.
The gentleman that was talking before,
Keep fighting.
his
for me.
driveway is off Dollymont, which is a town road. He's the corner lot at Dollymont and Gore Road.
let me.
What lot number?
I don't, what's your lot number?
It's in the book.
Are you 18A? You're Kathy Jones.
I'm-
He's this one right here.
19.
Yeah, 19. All right, yeah, right there. Here's what I'm delivering to you guys tonight. Is what it is. So thanks. So here's what I'm delivering to you guys. We have a price that is $96,000. So you're gonna take $96,000 and you're gonna minus $67,500 off of it because that's what Gray is giving as in change. Then you've got $25,000, which is coming from Little Sebago Lodges, possibly, and Deer Acres and the Gore Road people. And then whatever is left is what the Raymond people have got to come up with in order for this to go through.
The difference on his property with the driveway coming off, but he's got road frontage on Gore Road, so we would have to affect his deed.
It'd have to be a deed.
To like with Wendy's is not even a budding Gore Road, it's down past our Poplar Pass.
So it's a mention.
Correct.
Yes.
So those deeds, we're not gonna have, there won't be money spent on their deeds, I mean, on those two deeds, but his there will be, because he's got road frontage on Gore Road.
But he shouldn't have to pay the $500, I'm thinking, because he doesn't even drive on Gore Road. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay, I got that.
I mean, they drive on Gore Road to get to
To their house.
Poplar.
Right.
But what happens? On Poplar. Yes. I don't
Do you
even
see what I mean?
I know, I get that, and I guess it would be then, okay, if you're not changing your deed, then donate money to the road to have it fixed.
If you have a road abutting, if you have a road that
It's
abuts
abutting
that
that.
road, you're
You would
gonna
have
change
to
your
change the
deed.
deed because it abuts.
A private road, you'll be changing your
He's,
deed.
But
he's
it's
talking about the
these two right here.
$500, he's not talking about the deed money, he's talking about the $500 for the,
For the road condition.
road condition. He doesn't use it, not him, the other
Yeah,
gentleman.
I-
So we'll-
Yeah, but what happens is he's on that corner right there, is what it is. So he is on that Gore Road and he's on Dolmont.
I
So it's,
understand that, and
And
that's
then
not
where's
what
the
he's
driveway?
saying. He's in,
His access is coming in.
his
here,
access
so he
comes
can
off
drive.
Dollymont.
so then then it wouldn't be considered that then.
So he'd just have to pay the $275 in deed,
Yes.
Well, whatever the deed costs.
or whatever the deed cost is, right?
And this is, and again, this is stuff that we're trying to work out here to make sure that we can try and get this thing moved so we can get this thing fixed. So, yes.
It's not an exact science. We're
No,
trying to
there
be-
you go.
What we're trying to do, though, is to try to be fair to everybody involved and try to come up with a creative solution to this ancient problem that's been plaguing everyone forever. And
67.5.
so it looked like we had a solution in sight, and I think we do.
So after we,
Yeah, we're sticklers for that. No, get going. Go ahead, come
You just
on.
gotta stand up, go over there.
It's gonna bug you that
Let's
you
hear
didn't ask.
Let's hear what you got.
The cameras are looking at us right now.
No singing.
so.
Your name? Sorry.
I've been doing it for 25 years, it's okay. They haven't killed me yet.
Canberra, we just bought 89 Gore Road.
Oh, yeah,
do we need to talk?
I saw that on here. Yeah, you just moved into this whole thing too, so.
We did. I'm gonna just kind of not. I'm gonna let that be. We're not gonna talk about that. But so after we were to account for Gray, the equipment transaction, whatever we do with all that, are we proposing that after we account for that, the money that comes from the residents of down Gore Road and the Gray portion, you said that won't cover the full cost of the estimate. So are we proposing that we'll adjust the amount of work we do to fit that, or is that $500 going to change depending on the scope of the project? If Nate gets into it, and
We
turns
did the
out to be a
budget
bigger
originally with
thing.
the $500.
Well, the
Okay.
67.5,
Yep.
but I think something that's important to remember too is if everybody on the Gray side is giving money to help with this road that's in
Yep.
Raymond, I think it's only fair that the people in Raymond also give, to be honest, because If they weren't, I would be saying like, wait a second.
And I don't disagree with that at all.
But-
I just don't want to I don't want it to end up that we end up paying more than the 500, or we end up with,
No, and
that we
right.
end up with 1,500 because the project went longer than they thought,
So if we're
That's what
looking
I
at
want to figure out, is are we going to be able to adjust the project?
67.5.
The problem with doing the estimate on it, and I fatten the estimate up a bit because I can't see everything this time of year.
Yep.
I haven't been down that road for a long time because I avoid it like the plague. So,
Don't blame you.
I've got enough time in there, so I think I'm covered on anything that's gonna run into any typical, I'm going by what Gray ran into on their end and what we've done on our end.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's about the same down through there. When I said change the scope of work, we're gonna probably help Q-Team instead of sending them in to do all the tree work to save money there.
Yep.
There's a possibility that we won't add as much gravel. I've estimated, I think, 250 yards of gravel into
Yeah, it
this.
was 200 something.
Yeah, and I don't think that was a large number.
Okay.
Right, pulling off his front yard. We went down and looked at some drainage issues today that I think we've resolved. It's gonna be a lot cheaper less ditching and less material. So I'm confident that we're gonna come in under that number, or we're gonna hit the 96 number that we have.
That's great. Okay.
So,
I just
yeah.
wanted to, and I know we don't really know until we get into it for
Correct.
sure, but I wanted.
But the intention is the one-time contribution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Which is, and I'm not opposed to that contribution whatsoever. To the $500 portion of that. So okay, that's
Cool,
all.
thank you.
Sir, could I ask, when you bought the house, did you take title insurance on the property?
Yes.
Is there anything, because that reiterates your deed, is there anything in the deed that would show,
We will have to. Is there anything in the deed in regard to the road
no,
situation?
in the title insurance policy that would,
I can answer that.
Yeah, she's the other. Yes.
okay.
She's the. You have to come out, don't you? Now that you.
Say no.
She's gonna tell you what
Is
to
it-
say.
is it no?
Tell me what to say.
Is it no?
Go ahead.
No, and I already called the title insurance company. I've already been down this road. So now I'm going down the road of going, because the real estate person that sold us the house knew, and they didn't see me.
But there's a law, I believe, because
Yes,
I think
trust me, I'm already on it. I have.
Yeah, we got thrown right into the middle of this.
Yeah,
I
you
found
did.
out about it the day after I closed in the house when I met Bob
So
King.
we're
Believe
not.
it or not, right?
Welcome to no man's land. Yeah.
So, so we
Thank
didn't
you.
know going into it,
Thank
but we agree with your perspective of let's move forward, let's solve it, let's get on with it.
It's something that's
Because
been around,
otherwise-
and again, there's so many versions, there's so many trying to carry things forward. It's trying to figure out who's what, and as it continues to grow up there. I was at Bob's house the one day, and all of a sudden this little fluorescent green car comes down, boom, bottoms out, and he just kind of stuns. And what does he do? Comes back the other way, boom, hits the same pothole. Like, it doesn't slow down.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
seriously.
there's often car parts in the road. Yeah, Bob's got a selection. He could have a little used auto parts place.
Ah.
Road fill.
Roadkill.
Actually, we're setting out a lemonade stand this summer. And we're going to count the cars.
Car parts.
Sell the parts.
Exactly.
I mean, let's.
No, all joking aside, though, yes. So
Okay,
yeah, well,
thank you.
that answers my
But,
question.
as in some people's mind, as distasteful as it may be that you have to put some money up, let's look at it from another standpoint. You're on a private road. This is a chance to get out from under that. If you've got a perfect storm here of all these people coming up to step up to the plate to help out, if you don't, everybody walks away from it, you still have a private road, what's your liability?
And that's my biggest concern. That is the liability aspect of it, especially with Gray. I don't know who thinks it's a good idea, but with all the subdivisions they're doing, or the subdivision they're doing, and all of the whatever they're doing, who knows what they're
Right.
doing. And it's just out of control the amount of houses that are down there that use the road. So
Well,
it needs to get fixed ultimately. I mean, and I'm willing to put forward, our contribution to do that, as long as we can kind of know what our contribution is going to be. I
Well,
guess, is
no,
my
and that's why
concern,
we're
so.
thinking right now with the 500, and what happens is the legal, we're trying to get the best price for that to change the deeds or whatever on that.
Yeah,
And
which is great. Yeah.
here's my worry. I brought this up the first time, and these guys are like, okay, you're opening up a can of worms, then it got shut down, and then I asked Bob King, I said, you get these signatures, I will bring it back to the select board. They voted me in a second time, so they have to do what I have to say. And so I got it back. Look at Lorraine, she's laughing. So, yeah, look at, this is wait. So anyways, my fear is if we have all these doors open right now and we don't do something, I don't know if these doors are going to be open again, to be honest. And not just us, the Gray and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's open. Let's jump on the opportunity.
Yeah, I
Yep.
agree.
So more questions or comments? Yep.
Thank you.
Don't move anymore.
Bob, don't forget your social security number.
Yeah, really.
My last four is, all right, my name is Bob King. I'm sort of the one that instigated a lot of this too. Luckily, I had Teresa to listen to me. I got a question for Mr. Bullock.
Yes, sir.
Can we go back on our title insurance?
I am
Yes.
not an attorney.
believe
I am
it's
not an
statute.
attorney.
Is there a limitation on that?
I am not an attorney.
That you have to talk, you would have to talk to whoever your title insurance company is.
Okay, because I bought title
Because they would
insurance.
have, they would have to look at, they would have to look at what the deed is, what it said in there. If there's a deficiency in the deed, then that's what the insurance does for you. But that's not a question we can answer because we have no idea what you have.
When did you buy your house, by the way? 1984?
84.
Yeah,
Well,
there was nothing in your deed.
The reason I
about
asked
it.
his question is because he's a new owner and the mortgage regulations have been changing and evolving for years and years and years. And now they're pretty fine-tuned, I think, so if anybody has an issue, they might through their
Yeah.
title policies. And it would be a good place to start from a documentation standpoint. And I say that as a former banker and not as an attorney.
Okay. Did we get a clarification on the title change for Wendy and Mr. Menton back here and Paul about the just the title insurance or not the 500 or both or what? Because I heard a lot of talking, but I never heard a confirmation on it.
Contribution
Yeah.
for the abutters,
Right.
plus the title work, just the contribution for the back lot.
That's what they
Correct.
said, right? That's what everybody
So
said.
that would take 2-3 lots out of it.
Yeah, so for the back lots, we'd be looking at 500.
Correct.
You might
Now,
calculate.
now, can that be prorated in their taxes or something?
Can't be prorated in their taxes, but if they do a promissory note, they can do
A payment
plan. You can't do it as
That'd
prorate,
be
you
up to
can't
you
do it in the
guys.
taxes because there's not a provision in the tax to be able to adjust that. Something that, but if they were to sign
do.
a
I think there's
promissory
a
note,
fee.
they could set up a payment plan to pay against that.
Okay. Now,
Did they answer your question, Bob?
yep, they did.
Because I didn't get the answer.
Right, okay, he's gonna tell you again. Go ahead, Don.
Okay, so if you abut the road, then you have the $500 contribution plus the estimated $250 for the title and survey work. If you don't abut the road, you're a backlot owner, then you have just the $500.
Now,
My question is, I don't ever use that road.
he's on Dolomont.
I'm on Dalton.
You would just,
Well,
he
his
would just,
driveway's on Beaumont.
yes,
Yeah.
he would just pay the fee to change his,
Well, he was a
Title.
unique, he was a unique one, I guess. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you don't ever use the road, you're not in a butter, you're not a backlot, but you have a driveway that would be affected with a deed change. Is that,
His driveway's on Dolman.
oh, it's on, so it's not even,
But his lot line is affected because, so the deed, the right of way has to be deeded.
You have the map, you have a copy of the map.
yeah, he's got it here, but.
But I don't use Gore Road at all.
because his access is to, he would just change the deed is what would happen. So we would have to literally just look at his property, do the deed change, but wouldn't do, the 500 change there. But it's accessing.
Well, we're trying, I mean, that's up to you all. What we were trying to do is come up with something that's equitable and fair, and we're evolving with that tonight. So it's up to you. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I would think that in order to make it a clean deal from point A to point D, he would have to participate in the deed,
What about the 500?
whatever cost that would be to.
He's on Dolomont, which is,
No, his driveway's on Dolomont, his land abuts
yeah.
Gore Road, so I think as a abutting land on Gore Road, he would have to participate in the deed, rewriting of the
Yes.
deeds. But anything else, no.
So what you're saying is you'd have to pay the fee, but not the 500.
So he'd be just the opposite.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Thank you.
To me, that would be the fair way out of
Thank
that.
you. I had, somehow that whole piece escaped me.
The big question I have is anybody open the door to CM&P yet?
Yes,
Yes.
I have, you said it'd be difficult to talk to CMP. I have 6 calls into CMP, but 4 different
Do you
people.
like the music?
But I,
Sheridan
but,
does
but,
too,
but
yeah.
my municipal street lighting person, Suzanne Boussier, who I have most confidence in, said she would try to get me an answer by this evening. She didn't, but I explained the whole thing to her, and, you know, she like we don't have any reason to believe that CMP is going to, you know, not participate, but I don't have it in writing yet.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it. I'll get it.
I got one other question about CMP. They have the pole line that goes along the edge of the road on the southwest side. I believe it's southwest. Is that something, they got a right of way through there? Is that something you gotta have signed off or whatever when you ditch or what?
That right of way would be on everybody's individual deeds, and would believe that gets transferred over to the town. I don't have to get permission to ditch around it now.
Okay. I know of nothing underneath that road from Dolomont to the town line down
Yeah,
there.
we have to dig safe it anyway.
Yeah.
We'd have to dig safe it.
This guy has 2 properties.
Okay, now Wendy had a question earlier, are you satisfied?
I'm not sure, but I'll think on it.
Why don't you bring it up now, because I can't answer your question
Which question was that?
about
Then Wendy, go up and ask him seriously, just so you feel better. I mean, that's why we're here tonight, because we gotta clear the air on this. I'm actually looking at this property of Thomas LaPierre. He has 2 lots. Is that 1 lot or is
He
that?
said you can have it, and they'll write you a check, but he's in Florida right
No,
now.
Tommy, yeah. He just wants it fixed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you are.
Name?
Wendy McEnroe.
Thanks.
I also did look at my deed. I do have title insurance. Do I call them?
Yeah. The
Sure.
reason I asked that question is the title insurance would delineate the boundaries.
If $500 would make that road better, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
I just wonder, is it gonna be fixed to DOT standards?
No.
So I'm gonna have to come up with another $500 a year from now?
No, because we'll take over.
Because now it's a town road.
So
Yeah.
my other question is I don't understand what makes that little chunk private. You got nothing to show that it's private already, right?
We get nothing to show as public.
We've got
Well,
this-
my deed says it's public.
Does it actually say public right away?
Well, it doesn't say it's private.
No, and it doesn't say it's public either. I was checking deeds today is what it is.
You can certainly, I would certainly check with my attorney, title insurance company, to see if there's any guidance or relief they could give you. But we have no layout and acceptance of this as a public road. And I mean, we've been through the records inside out. There's nothing, and I think the, information and belief that most people have is that it is, and until we resolve it, will be a private road.
I just guess I don't understand that.
So
Well, they found.
and I guess why we're coming
I just
forward.
don't
found-
understand
They
that.
found language from where Gore Road was turned over from a county road to the town, and it distinguishes where it turns off to Dollymont. It's actually,
Yes.
it used to be Maples Road.
Yes,
And
I
it goes down
remember
to the
seeing that.
Dollymont Farm, which is where it came up with Dollymont. It says nothing past,
So who originally paved that road?
probably the association back,
Gray did.
yeah, Gray did it back, when I started here, 91, 92, something like that. The association paved that road from Dollymont down 1 year way back.
2000, 99 and 2000.
Was it that?
Reclaimed and paved.
Okay.
We paid, the association paid Blue Rock to do the gray section.
Peter
Can you stand up,
Jealousy
Dave? Can you stand up, please? And-
So when
Could-
she.
well-
done.
Oh, sorry. No, you both can stand there. I guess I want that on record, what you just said, though.
Okay. I am David Getchell, Vice President, Winnebago Lodges Association. Our association in 99, 2000 reclaimed and paved the private section in Gray and the private section in Raymond because it was in such horrible condition. So that was our $25,000 contribution to that stretch of land.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That way we've got it on record, so
But-
even more.
Since I'm standing, I'll just say I'm very happy that this is going forward in the manner it is, because as you know, we tried a secession movement to go to Raymond. Segway, I think we're still would like to do that someday, but anyhow, and it's a small price to pay, I think, excuse me, when people look at the damage to their vehicles. But one of the main things that concerns me is the public vehicles that are used, such as your fire and rescue, to get down there. And I've been up through that road when my father was a passenger and he had cancer, and they were trying to stick an IV in him, and this was 9 years ago. And the guy was having a very hard time and nearly, pierced a vein. And it's kind of crazy that we have to kind of all go through this process in order to get to the end result. But going forward, I think this is wonderful that this is happening. Our association is going to do what we can to help contribute towards this. We want to see it completed. We want to see it off the table, get the liability away from everyone, which I think is very important for the abutters for sure. And the school bus goes down that as well. So I think this is fantastic, and I really hope that the council, the selectmen here, people, go forward and get this taken care of.
Thank you.
That's pretty much it.
Is
Thank you.
Jen
Yes.
here tonight?
Jen is.
Yeah, in the
She's
back.
over there.
I think I've met her.
Okay, so, one, welcome to town, by the way. What a way to be welcome to Raymond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to say that to you.
On the lighter side, I'd like to say one thing. When you read that sign at the school, the bus goes up and down, the wheels go round and around.
The wheels
I
on the bus
watched
go
the
up?
The lights go like that, right?
I watched the kids go up and down when that gray bus goes up the road.
So I need to, what is, I guess, the general census of you guys out there? Are you willing to move forward with this if we do the promissory note and get moving on this D work? Because I don't want to start this and get the board to approve this and keep going, because again, we're on a timeline.
What are the next steps?
The next step, the board would be, the board tonight would take a vote that says, yes, we want to go to the next steps. And then we will turn around and get from the attorney the descriptions. You guys need to do a petition. I read the letters that they gave to us that says about turning the property over. Can we use that as technically?
No, he's good. I don't believe so, but we would get the proper language for a petition. Somebody would have to circulate that to, that's Bob, I guess, quickly, and get everything re-signed. But I don't believe that the letters, I think what you did is took my letter to you around and had some people sign that.
It says that they
I don't
turn
think
the
that's gonna
property.
work.
I had no other avenue.
Oh, I know.
That's
I
all right.
know.
No,
And
we got the top part.
And by the way, this has been an evolution. I don't fault you at all, or anybody on that. I mean, we've learned, this is very unusual, so we've learned as we've gone along, but to answer your question, no, I don't believe it'll work. It's gotta be a petition with specific language.
But it has to, essentially, what's not in the letters and what needs to get in the petition is, what are you actually turning over?
Okay.
Because right now, it's, you get a letter that says, says this and that, the other, but it doesn't say, this is actually what's gonna be turned over. So that petition will say, this is what, here's what we're doing, and this is what will be turned over. That gives you that closure that says, okay, someone can look at that, yeah, now we know what it is. We accept that petition, we move forward to the, and the next, then the next step is getting the promissory notes done, getting the deeds redone, so that at that point, then it goes, when we go to town meeting, everything is clean, and we can then, because the town meeting at that point has to say, yes, we will accept that as a town road.
But the deeds aren't going to be done. I mean, what we're trying to do is get a small description now that we can use to take to town meeting, and then what we can do is have all the deeds done and filed afterwards. And pretty much what that deed is going to say is 24, 25 feet from the center line out is what's going to be given.
Determine the center of the road.
Okay, well, the road, when they get done with the deed and the survey, it's gonna show the survey, they're gonna square it up best they can, they're gonna show that road going like this.
Yep.
And that's where we're gonna put the road right back. When we go down through do the work, we're gonna do all the drainage work, and then we're gonna put, center line offsets, so when they come in and pave it, the road's gonna be back where it was. We'll stay within that right of way.
So from there, so what happens is, again, we have to have certain things by April 23rd in order for us to be able to vote on a warrant that we send to the town meeting, is what it is.
Would it be fair if I asked everybody for a show of hands on support?
No, that's what I'm asking for now. So if you guys want, if you guys don't want to do this and don't want us to do the money on this, then we're not going to take a vote to push this thing to the next step. So I need to see from you guys, are you interested in moving this thing forward? Raise your hand.
Show of hands. Anybody against?
He's adding the numbers. For anybody that's not interested in moving it forward, can I hear why? I'm really curious just to see what your view of this is. Was there anybody that said no?
There was one question I have. I'm not about that.
Oh, sorry. Back up to the podium so we can get it on tape. Sorry.
And just so you understand why we're making you go up there is
It's recorded.
the official record of the meetings is the recorded thing. And the only way we can pick up your recording is if you speak in the mic.
And if you go home on 1301, you can see yourself talking.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Stinky Frostheimer. that was Johnny Carson's line when he took his lie detector test. He failed miserably. What I'm up here about is I have a garage that I measured from the right of way of what my deed says.
He's making this really difficult. Go ahead.
And I believe I'm 25 feet from that right of way where my garage is. They're not going to, if they extend the right of way, that's not going to affect my dwelling, is it?
I think I think you would be grandfathered.
That's what I wanted to make sure of.
That's a guess.
But that being said, if they're going from the yellow line and they're 24 feet out, that means 5 to 10 feet of very well their grass, their lawn won't be theirs anymore. Does that change any of the zoning? Does that make it so, like I see 11 and 12 are a little smaller? No disrespect.
But I don't think zoning
can
change zoning to put you in default. You can't.
I don't believe so.
But it's not going to change that.
We're not gonna own that
They're
piece
right
of
there on the
property.
front.
All that is a right of way for us to maintain it. It gives us a description of you have to maintain and make safe this area. So if I come in and I say I've got to
They'll
take
still
that tree
have
down.
that on their acreage, which will be the same zoning as they've always had.
Absolutely. They'll still technically own to the center of that right of way. It's just an easement going down through there.
Perfect.
Okay, that answered my question.
The town's not gonna mow it.
Okay.
So I'm taking this then that you guys are thank you. I'm taking this that you guys want to move forward, is what this is.
Yes.
Okay.
Did Mr. Minton have a question?
Bob, who's running this meeting, you or me?
He looked like he had a question.
Well, he can stand up, does he?
He does look like he doesn't look happy.
I really just, I'm thinking about this, but I have circumstances where I have to check with my title and also the people that I bought, under the first-time homeowners. It's a little bit different because we're dealing with the federal government here, and I know that their regulations are a little bit different than a lot of other things.
Okay.
So I have to just ask some real questions, and I have to get in touch, and I have to call the title company and find out what's going on with that.
And
I understand that.
I'm not making comments on title insurance for the purposes of lining out a recovery avenue. That's not what I'm doing. I'm looking at title insurance as a definitive explanation of your particular piece of land.
Right.
Okay. And that will
Right.
give somebody a source. If you're able to sue them, and good for you.
And they said,
Yeah,
I'm working on that.
right.
But the title.
You're gonna have to.
If
Do
you
we
have
have
to speak.
a microphone? Oh, he's gonna read your mind.
No, I already told them, I'm
All
focused
right.
on all of this.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead. Your name again, sir.
Canberry.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We called the title company after all of this, when we shortly after moving in, and we realized what we just got ourselves into. We got in touch with the title company. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the title aspect of it,
Right.
but they told us, they researched, it took quite a while. They researched it I don't know what exactly they do to research it, but they researched it. They said, oh yeah, they called us back, oh yeah, you live on it's a public road. Like, so it's not. So they told us we live on a public road. So we researched it with the title company. They tell us, sorry, you live on a public road. I come up here, you say, sorry, you live on a private road. I'll still contribute.
Well, I
mean,
guess.
I don't mind contributing, that's not what I'm saying, but.
Right, no, but I guess
we're
I'd like
gonna
to know
have
who
a
your
tough
your title company is
Yep.
and what proof they have that it is actually a public road.
Exactly, that's what we want to look into,
took
but
the easy
I
way
guess I'm really talking to everybody out here when I say this, is that may be what you run into also. With your title companies, is they might come back and say you live on a public road to other people too. They told us the same line.
But I'm not gonna practice law without a license here, but I'm telling you that if that's what they're telling you, and they've got no proof otherwise, if you got proof otherwise, we'd love to see it.
Yeah.
You've got no proof otherwise, then maybe you do have something you could talk about with them for recovery.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I
that
would
was more
do.
just a quick comment to everybody out here that you
That's
may
good to
run into
know.
that as well, because that's what we ran into,
But that's beyond, we're not doing that, that's not our thing.
which is fine. Yeah.
All right, so I want to keep this meeting going here. So, what the next step is that we're going to need to be able to, anybody that needs to check on information, please do it within the next couple of days because we need to get moving on this documents. And so the next thing that would need to be done is we would take a vote on that, and then after that, we would get the petition from the attorney that says that the people on the Gore Road would like to move forward and have the town take over that area, is what it is. And then from there, we're gonna definitely need the description, and that has to be done, and then the promissory notes. So the promissory notes, again, you can work out a payment arrangement. We're trying to get the number also as far as the attorney costs for that title work. I don't know if it's better for some of you guys if we come knocking at your door, if you come to the town office to sign, because I think, pretty sure a promissory note has to be notarized, is what it is. So, yeah, I got that. And so on this, please be looking out for us. If you haven't heard from us, call the town office looking for us, seriously, because we want to get this moving, because on our April 23rd meeting, I want to be able to put this on as a warrant article to vote to take it to the town meeting. So before any of us take a vote here, does anybody else have any other questions or comments or concerns? Go ahead. The podium, the microphone, sorry.
Gray resident,
Yeah.
I guess we had others already.
Hi, Sharon Young. I do live in Gray, but just in answer to that question about the notary, I am a notary and I'm in the neighborhood if anyone needs me.
Oh, cool,
At
thank you.
54 Aquila.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now that we don't have any more questions or concerns from you, the board, any more comments or questions or concerns or?
No, one question. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, you're not the board, but go ahead.
We were talking about notary, and I believe we have a fee schedule for notary. Can we at least waive the fee for the notary at this?
We don't.
We don't for a town resident.
We'll take care of that for, yeah.
I'm just sitting over there going, I'm gonna go smack Nathan after this meeting is over for even bringing that one.
Yeah, we won't charge you to notarize. Come see me, I'll just do that.
There you go. All right, so, do you guys want, I would like this in a motion to, to move forward with the next steps of this. Who's gonna do it?
Second.
No, I can't do
I
it.
can't do it, I can't.
Oh.
All right, Sam.
Can I,
Well, I
I'll
thought
make
you
the
were making
motion
a motion.
already, Don's notes.
second now.
How many notes?
Well, just make the motion as, well, you're gonna
To
read
move
down,
forward
just
with
make-
No, I'm not gonna read down.
Just make the motion as described by Don.
Right. The motion would be to proceed as outlined by Don in his notes as of today.
Second.
Can we make these part of the minutes?
I guess I want more clarification, just to saying that we are moving forward with his notes
Right.
to make Gore Road into a public road
Right.
instead of a
Would-
private road,
would be-
to move it to a warrant article, take it to the town meeting.
Yeah.
Sue is gonna kill us.
Was the last part something along the line, subject to the terms and conditions outlined by the town attorney for town meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good too. That's
Was
how
it something like that?
Lorraine,
That's what I heard.
Lorraine's from the paper, she loves us.
3 seconds, so this is what, 3 or 4 motions?
We can do it.
Yeah,
Wait,
okay,
is-
so,
That way it's
do
not
we
just
have
the
that
town
motion
manager.
summed up?
We can do it third.
Second.
Yeah.
Do we have the motion summed up?
Second.
Okay, a second. All right, any more discussion? All in favor? And I want to see what Lorraine writes up for that motion in the newspaper.
I would like to say one thing, again, just to thank our colleagues and friends in the town of Gray, and, you know, Deb and
Yeah.
Steve, and you know, the Gray Town Council, and the folks in Gray who have suffered with this for so long. But Deb Cabana was hoping that this could be resolved in her municipal career, her municipal lifetime, and so she'd like to be remembered for having solved this, so let's hope that's true.
I think Steve is the same thing.
Steve's the same thing, Steve's retiring, yeah, so
he's
they'd like to be
retiring
remembered
this
for
year.
this.
Well, and here's this, and thank you guys for Little Sebago coming out, and Sharon, thank you for coming out to it. And I think my thing is, there's another vote now after this, and that vote will be Little Sebago Lodges is going to hold a vote as far as, I believe, assessing properties, and that would be on May 16th, and they will get us word as soon as possible on that. And if that goes yes, that's great. If no, then we're gonna be taking that warrant article off, you know, and see, everything's kind of domino affecting everything is what it is. Please drive carefully. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to this
Thank
meeting.
you.
And if you don't hear from us within the next day or two, please call the town and say what's going on, because we're gonna start moving fast on this.
Are we gonna recall the road, King Road after that?
King Gore Road, King Gore Road.
When you go home tonight, you're gonna wish it was plowed.
You guys are all gonna come up on who's gonna name it. Put the names in a hat.
This is still
Yeah.
gonna go to town meeting.
Thank you.
Deeds are gonna reference
This
Yeah.
is still gonna go to town meeting.
Thanks. See you later.
Yes.
So
Yeah, 'cause
everybody that's Raymond residents here, you need to make sure you have town meeting.
Yes, Raymond residents, make sure you show up at this meeting on June 6th, town meeting.
Because
You
if it
have to vote
doesn't
to pass
pass, it
this.
doesn't pass.
Anybody needs
Yeah,
a
so
ride
town
or
meeting really
show you
says it.
where, whatever, I will come get you, but you guys have to vote. So, June 6th, and that's, Jordan Small
Small Middle
School,
School.
okay? Cool, yeah, I'm going like this, so,
Moving right along.
all right.
Building next to it.
Yes. I think it's way up the street. All right, thank you, guys. All right.
Absolutely, sir.
I'll be talking to you soon. Thanks,
Bring
Bob.
donuts.
All right, Bob.
All right, thank you.
Even Nathan.
I see them with the blinky lights down there.
All right, we're gonna keep moving on with our meeting, so we can get out of here tonight. Yes, thank you. You're gonna do that. I'll touch base with you.
Do you need somebody else in the audience for your other part?
Nope.
No.
You can go home. Thank you, guys. Be careful.
Yeah, you too.
And welcome to
Good luck with
Yeah,
that.
oh yeah. He's a care. All right.
No objections now.
County tax assessment.
Okay, so we have the annual county tax assessment for signature. It says here, this will not be paid until summer. I would tell you, this will not be paid until the very end of summer, the latest possible date. But you have your warrant that needs to be approved.
Yes.
And
So you pay taxes.
$788,378 for Cumberland County.
See, the sheriff got a 10% raise out of that.
Let's cool Rolf off on this one because we know how much he loves the county tax thing. All right. I'm gonna skip over this one until Sam comes back, but let's go to GA confidentiality policy.
Okay, so since our GA officer, Alice Hamilton, has retired, I've been taking on the GA work, and Sue has been working in support of the record-keeping piece with the state, and so I'm keeping the local records. She's doing the state records while we await our new clerical person. So in looking at the file, she discovered that she found a general assistance confidentiality policy that had never been enacted, and I took a look at it, and it was way out of date, and had some language in it which was not correct. And so anyway, long story short, she investigated what other towns were doing and came up with this policy, which is in your e-packet, and I would recommend that we endorse and approve this. This is a selectman level policy. Given the way that you handle general assistance application confidential information.
Move the general assistance information confidentiality policy as written.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Cool. All right, let's get some signed, and then, it's like,
Who's going to move the county tax warrant?
okay, Rolf refuses to do this. Can you move that? No, we need to, oh,
You have to move it.
we have to move it, make a motion. These guys
You
won't
have
make
to
a
move it,
motion.
Sam.
Make
Move
a
it.
motion to approve the county
Move the
tax.
county tax.
Move to approve the county tax.
There you go. Who wants to
I'll
second it?
Return?
I'll second it. It won't get done. All in favor?
No, I'm not in favor.
All right, then you can say no.
Yeah.
So what happens
Are
if
you
we,
serious?
what happens if we vote no?
3 to 2.
Oh, we've done that, we've done that.
Doesn't
I do it
matter.
every
It doesn't
time.
matter, the
Every year. I
consensus.
don't know if I've ever.
Darn.
So it's
All right, you can sign this one,
the
Sam.
proverbial.
I still gonna
Slap.
sign it, but I don't
Yeah,
want
you
to.
gotta sign it. Let's go this way now.
Come on, I want that on video. All right, we're gonna back up now and
Did
do,
we move and second that? And do it?
yes, and we did all in
Mayor
favor.
Lawrence.
Thank you, sir.
Sue's gonna
Okay.
kill us. I know she is.
Shall we just-
Okay, we'll wait until these signed up, get these back up through.
So now
Oh,
we,
here's one.
That's the stack to go back.
you'll have to introduce
Okay.
those, yeah.
That's,
All right, discussion of provider agency warrant articles. Do you remember the time when I said I was gonna take some of Rolf's good ideas and take credit for them? Well, I can't even take credit for this because it is a good idea. Rolf, go ahead with this one.
Okay, we've,
Sam, listen.
it has, we beat about the bush and beat about everybody's heads over this $500 here or whatever. My concept is, instead of sitting there and doing that, what we do is we authorize the town manager, we authorize $2,000 to the town manager to work with the provider agencies, and if he deems them necessary to be able to give money to the provider agencies using that figure.
Second.
And the reasoning behind it is Don has always done an excellent job
Yep.
of working with people and actually getting us more for our money than what we give in there. And I think that by giving him the authority to do that, he's gonna be able to parlay that into things for us. And it takes all this bickering back and forth and kind of puts it to bed.
No.
So,
Going an idea.
so doing off that, so SMAA that wants $500. So what happens is that will go to Dawn, and Dawn interacts with the people.
I agree.
So that way where he does that, the other thing that I tried to, and I have it, I just haven't sent it out to you, is RTP is another company that, that works and picks people up door to door. You know, it's part of the Lake region, but this is something different. There are some restrictions to it too. That would be something that they would work, and they work off of federal money, but what this does is it works, we can donate like 500 or whatever to help people that do this so they can use the money. This would be something that Don would work with again, because he's the one that's the town manager, is seeing, you know, what is needed in this town, and it takes it off of our level, over $500. So if we give him $2,000, one of Don's worries is that what if he picks something that we don't like? I said,
That
we're
don't
gonna,
matter.
That's too
exactly,
late.
we're trusting him, we're trusting
Yeah,
him,
well,
that you know what's
we're
good.
Well, I
supposed to
think
I
I
told him
was
make
coming
his life
off,
a
I
living
was coming
difference.
off the suggestion that Marshall had made, I guess.
Right.
to-
Well, let me say a suggestion. My concern on that, I love the idea, and I think 2,000 might be a little low, because I can see that going up as time goes by.
Well, then we can try it, yeah.
And that's fine, yeah, but my concern would be that Don is the sole authority on this. And my suggestion would be Don randomly selects a select board and a budget finance committee member and gets three opinions and goes with that.
I mean, I think, my issue, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of I really want Don and these to be the point guy that's having the discussions with the agencies and what are you doing? If he wants to solicit input from people on that, fine. But I don't want to set up a whole other committee.
And I'm not suggesting that at all. Don makes a phone call, hey, what do you think about this? But I don't want to set Don up for failure.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to avoid.
I think we're setting it, I think it's
And I
opposite,
think,
yeah.
if we're saying, we're going to, the warrant is going to authorize that, we're giving him that authority, and for that amount of money, I mean, we can't have too much of a gripe anyway, first of all. But the fact is, if he feels that it's valid, then I think we need to listen to him on that as well.
We can get
Listen.
updates from him too. Do you know what I mean? To say, how'd you do with the 2,000? He may find a whole other organization and I think maybe more people might come out. I also told him if you don't
I
get the
can
things that I
work
like,
with
I'll
it.
make your
I can
life.
work with it under that.
He's the chief executive officer.
The other question,
That's
the other
what it
issue I
is.
had,
Executive.
No, you're not. You're the head of the,
You're on the board.
you're on the
All right,
board.
just joking.
He's the chief executive officer. If we don't trust him with that,
No, right.
you
That's
know,
not the
that-
point.
No, he's not,
that
it's not,
is-
the
that's
no,
not
I know
the
what he's
point.
saying.
The point was he didn't want somebody coming in and yelling at him because he made a choice.
Well,
That's
no,
setting him up for
nobody's gonna
failure.
do that.
Well, but it's kind of like me
No,
when
come
I'm going down the road thinking
I'm
of
not gonna
something
do
and I'm
No,
not
yeah,
on the
I
right
do.
path.
I can name 3
I'll
guys
call
who
Rolf
would.
and I'll bad off of him, or I used to do it with
Yeah.
Mike Reynolds. They make me look at the whole picture to see
Right,
that you're doing.
absolutely.
So, and he knows he can pick up the phone at any
No,
point and call
I'm fine with it,
anybody.
but whenever you're offered an opportunity for extra insulation from political bickering,
Right.
you'll take it. I
Please.
mean, as evidenced by the fact that every year we fight over this small amount of money.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so I saw Marshall's
Change
idea and I
for
said,
God's sake.
well, that helps insulate me from that kind of a thing, but based on the conversation you've just had, I'm fine. I'll
Okay.
take care of it.
The other
Yeah.
comment I want to make is that whatever's in the TIF or whatever's separate stays there.
Right. This was for provider agencies outside.
Yes.
Well, we have other
We have the ones that are named in there still stay in there.
right, okay.
This is for the provider agencies
Yes.
that are non-resident provider agencies.
That's fine.
Let
Yep.
me get a motion. This is a good idea. I think.
All right. Well, I
didn't-
have
you don't
mentioned.
like it?
I like it. I have mentioned it. I've mentioned it to just Brian, and I've had some conversations, and Bob Goslin and I have had some conversations, and I told them that we would be unveiling this to the board tonight. I think it's a great idea, and I think that we should pass it as a warrant article, and then see what the budget finance feels about it at their vote or whatever. So yeah.
So
Well, I think it would come in as an article.
it'll come as a warrant article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that,
For
we had a draft. of
community
that
development or
Sue-
something.
No, we had Sue draft draft one up, so.
Right, I did too.
So what we can do is I'll move the concept of the provider agency warrant article, which would authorize the town manager to expend up to $2,000 toward provider agencies, and that will then go into a warrant article, and we'll vote that warrant article at the next meeting.
Perfect.
Second.
Okay, so discussion on that. How do we deal with budget season next year? That when provider agencies come, that's gonna eliminate some of them. You know what I mean? Who does it eliminate? Baseball is more than that, so it's 2,000.
No, baseball is separate.
Baseball is
No,
separate.
no, what
No, that's
that'll
what I mean,
do,
so
what
that's
that'll
what
do, I'm
The
clear on this.
Raymond
Okay.
entities would still come in the same way they do. This is for provider agencies.
Right.
Raymond Baseball
But
is
they
not a
wouldn't-
provider agency.
But the provider agencies would not come to a board meeting like this anymore.
No.
They'd be going to Dawn, so we would take that right off of. Okay.
Right.
Right.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that was clear on
And
that.
I'd have a limited amount of money, so I'd have to,
Advisor.
as Rolf indicated, you'd be looking for the value proposition for the
Right.
town.
Well, and the other thing too is you may say, I'm finding some really good things that really does help the town, can we up this? And I'm all for that too. Or you may say, oh my gosh, forget it, we're not getting nothing for this, for nothing but complaints, let's drop this. That's it, that's
Yeah, I get it, I understand it.
it. All right, so any more discussion?
No, ma'am.
All in favor? All right, public comment. There, I have the public comment.
RSU withdrawal?
RSU.
Go ahead. RSU withdrawal, go ahead.
Okay. Update is the RSU withdrawal committee had drafted and completed our version of the withdrawal agreement. It has now been presented to the superintendent and assistant superintendent. They are in the process of reviewing it, so the next thing coming down would be any response from them in regards to that. We do have the upcoming meeting. I can't remember what the date on that is.
Oh, May 28th, I believe.
In which we're looking, at that meeting, we'll be looking at trying to put together some of the subcommittees to start doing the budget, preparations of budgets, looking at programming and things like that. So we're looking for people to go to the website, the RSU with 14 withdrawal committee site area there, and put in some, if there's an application form, for lack of a better name, to if people have interest in doing something to get on one of those committees, go on there, put that information in so we can get those pulled together.
Okay. All right, public comment, we just did. Selectman comment? Drive safely.
I'm gonna move that we no longer allow snow for this snow season.
Can we look forward on the calendar a little bit to May and June
The regular meetings?
regular
Green
meetings?
I've got those. Do you want to
Yep.
skip to the town manager's piece?
Please.
Okay, I had something I wanted to hit before I got to the meetings.
Oh, okay.
This was,
Oh, yeah, Teresa, we didn't,
I didn't want to jump over your selectman comment.
Sorry,
All right, so,
I tried to.
okay, so the first thing I have, and this comes to me via Sue, we have the quitclaim deeds from last meeting. They were approved in error as Sue is about to send them out. The form still showed Joe Bruno and not Marshall Bullock. So they need to be just re-signed. They've already been approved. So can I
Did
send
Joe
those out?
sign it?
They're not even on here.
Did Joe sign it?
that's, it's
No.
a correction of.
You probably signed in his spot.
I probably did.
Yeah. So now they've been corrected. So our apologies on that one. Ready on dates?
Yep,
Can we multitask, signing and dates?
yeah, we can multitask.
Okay, so confirm dates for upcoming regular meetings, May 14th, June 18th.
Thank you.
Okay. Reminder of budget schedule, April 23rd is the warrant article review and approval. April 30th is the Budget Finance Committee vote on recommendations for each budget warrant article. June 4th is the annual town meeting at 6 p.m. at the Jordan Small Middle School Gymnasium. Reminder of upcoming holiday schedule, Monday, April 15th, Patriots Day. I'm looking forward also to the end of winter and the beginning of
June 11th
construction
will be elections.
season.
June 6th.
I don't think I'm gonna get in my
No.
driveway.
June, no, June, yeah.
When would be the elections for,
Good question.
Sure, would you?
looks like it'd be June 11th.
I think so, yeah. Hold on.
You're not cheap.
Well, for that, I'm afraid.
You guys are right.
All
All right, he's checking on the date.
There's already open.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
This is where you need your clerk, I guess.
Isn't it like the week after? So
Yeah,
week
it's
after,
the week after.
7 days is
7
June
days
11th.
7 days after, I believe.
Right.
All right, so it's the following Tuesday, June 11th.
Yeah.
All right, is election day.
Thank you.
All right, treasurer's warrant.
Treasurer's warrant, move the treasurer's warrant at $96,831.21.
Second.
Oh, that's low. All in favor? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor? We're out.